Everyone, it's Sam. Sorry for not being here the past couple weeks. We had our big storm in Florida, but that is done now, so we can reprioritize our weekly forecast. This week is going to be a little bit of a wild ride. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of really interesting transits, especially as we get towards the second half of the week, that are going to shake up a lot of people. We have a lot of planetary transitions that are happening. Saturn is stationing direct, as well as both the Sun and Venus are moving into Scorpio on Sunday. So lots of change, and let's figure out how we're going to navigate that by dissecting day by day. As always, I've listed the exact timestamps of all of the transits in the Eastern Standard Time below. So make sure to convert for your time zone, and let's go ahead and share the screen. Ooh, got a sneeze coming. Okay, so let's look at Monday the 17th. So as we look at Monday's astro weather, we have tension that's going to be happening throughout the week, but you're definitely going to start to feel the overtone of that tension on Monday. So we have the moon in Cancer making a sextile to Uranus, giving a little bit of a bump in the night feel. And then as we hit 10:15 a.m. Eastern Standard, the moon in Cancer will square Venus in Libra, in addition to squaring the sun later that day. So there's going to be conflict between Cancer and Libra, our urge to care for in a biased and emotional and attached way versus our need for peace and stability and equilibrium and justice. Cancer and Libra both want to do the thing. They're both cardinal signs. They're both leadership oriented, but how they choose to do that, very, very different. Libra is detached and objective, and Cancer is very attached and subjective. So understanding the differences between those signs is going to be important as we'll have these impulses conflicting throughout the day. To help bring peace, but also confusion and dissolving, we have a trine to Neptune in the middle of the day at 11:02 a.m. And this will bring that sleepy, in between, again, confusing, slippery would be a good word, energy that Neptune kind of swings in and is just like, hey, let's all just smoke a joint and be perfectly fine. Obviously not the best choice on a work day, but you can choose other mind-altering activities like some nice meditation, maybe getting in a cat nap. But in between this friction, just really make sure to take those kind of constructive outs as a way to reset yourself in between the tension. The moon will also oppose Pluto later in the afternoon at 4:56, and then the sun will trine Mars. And this is going to be the highlight of our day. So all of the nonsense that happens on Monday can be combated by communication. The sun in Libra, an air sign, hits Mars in Gemini, another air sign. And by the end of the day, I think it's going to be really important that we talk out our frustrations and vent them appropriately. After those harder transits have passed, it's important to go back and say, okay, here's what I did wrong. Here's what I think you did wrong. What do you think you did wrong? And what do you think I did wrong? And come to the table and just put all the cards down and say, hey, let's discuss, right? Okay, moving on to Tuesday. Tuesday is going to be a typical hard, not hard, but hot Tuesday. It is Mars's day, and we have Mars's sign in full swing. So the moon goes into Leo overnight on Tuesday, giving us that fiery flare, that fixed fire energy. And then at 2:43 a.m., the moon will trine Jupiter, giving us heat in the middle of the night. We don't really like heat in the middle of the night. We don't like to be on fire when we should be in a restful state, right? So sleep might be a little bit difficult on Tuesday, but the rest of the day looks good. We have Venus and Libra making a trine to Mars and Gemini. So we had that Sun trine Mars, and now we have Venus trine Mars. So lots of air energy, lots of communication, lots of venting. Leo also helps to kind of let that heat rise and pull things to the forefront, put them behind the sun, so to say, and get lots of that kind of internal friction out. So Tuesday will help to kind of sweep and vent a lot of the pressure from Monday. Unfortunately, we have more pressure coming on right behind it. So let's talk about Wednesday. You can see those red lines starting to really get strong in the chart, and there is a reason for that. Squares are our aspects of friction, and we have 2 plus an opposition on Wednesday. So overnight, we have the moon making a sextile to Mercury in Libra, which should give us a good early part of the night. But then the sun will square Pluto at 9:17 a.m. Pluto is our planet that represents the past and the subconscious, everything that is in the underworld, in the below of our experience, the zombies that come up to remind us of where we've come from and the past that we may not want to deal with. And the sun in Libra, who wants to measure everything as fair and enact social justice, right? That holier than thou almost energy fails to consider what the sun cannot see, which is everything underground, right? Everything that has happened, the things that are decaying underneath the surface. So we start off Wednesday with this Sun square Pluto, and the past is going to have a lot to say. And that will also be echoed overnight in the second part of our night. After that sextile, the moon will also square the nodes at 3:55 a.m. So I think there will be a lot of stirring in the heart and the mind, probably because Monday got so aggravated and then we had that heat pull everything up to the surface. It's almost like we're being tilled, is a good way to think about it. The moon will also oppose Saturn in Aquarius at 1:58 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, which is going to be that moment to just be like, you know what? Let's just stop. Let's just cut it all at the quick. Let's just make sure that we say no effectively, that we are able to put up a wall where walls are necessary without disrespecting the process, right? We're not trying to bury the corpses that are coming up to get us. Like, we have to respect things that are coming up for a reason, right? But there has to be a boundary. There has to be, like, we can't open up the floodgates all at once and just deal with it all. There is a process and things have to happen over time. So the moon opposed Saturn will be like, hey, let's use the second half of our Wednesday to exercise the power of no. Okay. Moving into Thursday, let's take a look. So Thursday, we have a busy night. Venus will square Pluto just like the sun did, continuing our restless sleep, which just absolutely stinks, unfortunately. And then we have 3 back-to-back sextiles in the early morning. So some nice productive energy coming in the second half of our early morning. And then as we move into 12:25 p.m., the moon will move into Virgo, the sign of management, the sign of cleaning up the mess, right? Mutable Earth helps to take all of the squares and blocks and the different shapes and put them where they're supposed to be so that they are not scattered all over the floor. And I think that this is the exact influence that we need. This is why signs precede each other. As Leo stirs the pot and gets everybody inflamed, we now have Virgo coming right after to say, you know what? Let's take a chill pill. Let's go ahead and realize that everything can be put on a to-do list and tackled one by one. There is a manageable way to tackle the tasks. So I'm a huge fan of the second half of Thursday. I think it's really nice. And then even as we move into Friday, that theme really continues. So Friday's going to be one of our slowest days of the week. We only have 2 aspects. We have in the afternoon, the moon will trine the north node, getting us to focus on the future, getting us to get our ducks in a row, just the exact opposite of what happened Monday through Wednesday. It's just getting grounded, getting structured, getting ordered, and then the moon will trine Uranus for a little bit of fun. Once everything is put away, we can then celebrate in the new space. And Uranus, as the planet of unpredictability, says, hey, let's do something out of the norm. Let's do something out of the box, right? And maybe get into, because both Virgo and Uranus and all the earth signs deal with digestion, maybe a nice treat, something that's metabolism-wise unprecedented or unpredictable, but just a nice way to end such a constructive second half of Thursday and full day of Friday being responsible. And then we move into Saturday, because after the chaos is controlled, then we have more on top of it. So Saturday is the busiest day. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 aspects on Saturday. Nuts. Just absolutely nuts. So first thing at 12:07 a.m., Saturn stations in Aquarius. This is huge because Saturn, as Lord of Restriction, has been in Aquarius for months. And now Saturn will release that retrograde and will not just be releasing the retrograde in Aquarius, but over the course of the next 6 months, Saturn will then be migrating into soft, mutable, watery Pisces. Yes, we are almost done with Saturn and Aquarius. Although Saturn does rule Aquarius, it's been fun, but I think we need to soften, right? So with that being said, the moon will oppose Neptune in Pisces. The morning on Saturday gets a little wobbly. It's a little kind of out of control as we juggle order versus chaos. Then the moon will square Mars and Gemini. Unfortunately, we will fail to manage that chaos, and the options and the analysis paralysis will really just start to creep up on us. There will be a grounding transit at 2:16 a.m. Moon trines Pluto, so we will get that kind of subconscious strength. And then the highlight, one of the highlights of our day, is going to be Venus conjoin the Sun in Libra. This is what's known as a cazimi, when a planet moves into conjunction with the Sun and sits in the throne or the heart of the Sun and is backlit. This is traditionally a very powerful placement for Venus. Venus, who is in her home sign, is conjoined the Sun, who is giving her a nice stage, and we are able to see a lot of things coming to justice at this time, which I think is very needed. Right now in our society, in our culture, a lot of things that need to be balanced, that need to be exposed, that need to be seen for the other side. We really need to make sure that we have our checks and balances in order. And this Venus conjoined Sun in Libra will be a very liberating, right, transit. Also, we have another really strong air aspect right after it at 8:56 p.m. Mercury in Libra makes a trine to Saturn, really giving us that ability to communicate hard topics, to, just as Saturn is stationing, Mercury comes in and is like, hey, I'm so glad that you're choosing to do this. Let's really kind of sweep everything out and get all those cards on the table, which I think is really the theme of the earlier week too, is getting the cards on the table. But I like this whole theme on Saturday of exposure, of venting, of getting that wind energy to pick up, of moving things that were previously retrograde or slow, right? And then on top of it, at 9:24 p.m., the moon moves into Libra. So we've got all of this air energy coming up, all of the fairness, the justice, the humanitarian rights of Libra, just really rocking the skies on Saturday. So Libras, this is going to be huge for you. All air signs are going to feel this. Aries, this is going to be really difficult for you because all of this activity is opposing your sign. So you may feel the brunt of some of this swift justice that is coming forward. The moon in Libra will oppose Jupiter in Aries at 10:16, creating a little bit of conflict, but Libra is strong enough at this point with Venus exalted to overcome that. We just have to be on the right side of justice. It's a good way to say it. And then unfortunately, the really strong Libra energy and the exaltation of Venus cannot last forever. And if any of you notice that on the wheel, right, we have Venus and Sun at the top of the chart in Libra, and then at the very last moment after that cazimi, they switch into Scorpio. So that is actually our only transit of the day, our only two transits, is that Venus conjoin the Sun in Libra will be moving both of them at the very last degree of the sign into Scorpio. Now, Sun in Scorpio is the start of spooky season, right? Sun in Scorpio is the start of spooky season. However, Venus, who was previously in her home sign of Libra, in the sign of the Judge, in her full power, conjoin the Sun, now finds herself what we would call under the beams, kind of shadowed underneath the sun in Scorpio, who opposes her natal ruler of Taurus, crippling her of her power. We often say Venus in Scorpio is the overthrown queen. She moves from her height of justice into the sewers, cast out by the people that she used to rule. And so now we start to go into the depths of Scorpio. We start to get into that underworld energy that Pluto was kind of echoing throughout this week. Like, hey, by the way, make sure that you've been nice to the roots of your plant, the roots of your mind, the roots of your internal garden, because Scorpio's coming, spooky season's coming. So we have all of the monsters in the closets and all of the things that have been buried and all the things that are in the depths of us starting to come forward. Venus is still a planet of healing, and the sun is still a planet of lightness. But as they make their descent of the goddess, as they pull an Inanna and start to get into that underworld groove, and they start to put on their sugar skull makeup and start to become the creeps of the zodiac, this is really a great time for us to investigate the darker themes of our lives. And of course, on Monday at 12:07 a.m., just after we have Saturn officially stationing in Aquarius, giving us that last hurrah of Saturn being in his rulership, but on the way to a more mutable placement in Pisces over the coming months. So that was a lot. That was a lot, everybody. So I hope that you've enjoyed getting back on the bandwagon with me with some of these transits. It is a lot this week. Let me know how you fare. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know how these planetary movements manifested for you. And if you have any suggestions on how you'd like them explained in the future, please let me know in the comments. But until next time, may the stars be ever in your favor.